cost of the national dialogue, which was announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa early this week, has been estimated at around a whopping 700 million rand. And this has been preliminarily confirmed by the National Dialogue's preparatory task team, which comprises the national foundations as well as presidential representatives, together with NEDLAC. The National Dialogue Preparatory Committee briefed the media in Rosebank in Johannesburg on Friday. Early this week, President Cyril Ramaphosa said the national dialogue would take place across the country and would then be preceded by a national convention on the 15th of August this year. The first convention will then set out an agenda for the dialogue. The preparatory committee said it will then first present the draft budget to the interministerial committee, which has also been appointed by the president for the series of events.
We have received a draft budget from the preparatory task team. What we could say firstly is that democracy is not cheap. Building a nation is very costly. And that's why the next thing we're going to do, emerging from this work, we're going to go to the interministerial committee where we present the draft budget. Then we workshop that budget, and just to give you a sense, just to pull the provinces, the municipalities, you're looking probably estimation of more than 700 million. So that's quite a lot.
You heard that right. 700 million rand. On a conversation on why South Africa is such a mess. And they say talk is cheap. Not in this case. 700 million rand on a conversation on how the ANC screwed up this country. 700 million rand. That is 1 million rand times 700. That is so much money. That is so much money because you don't need so much money to actually tell me why South Africa is a mess. I could tell you that for free. And that is what I'm going to tell you. And we even made a video about this on why South Africa is such a mess, and we will still push, we will still rant about this. This is wasteful expenditure. This is bullshit. 700 million rand. With 700 million rand, that's so much money. You could do a lot with that. With 700 million rand, you could build 10 quintile 5 schools. 10 quintile 5 schools of the highest standard. Of the highest standard. Pretoria boys would see nothing. Would eat dust with those quintile 5 schools in which I'm talking about. 10 quintile 5 schools of the highest standard. Schools with gyms, schools with everything. You could build that with 700 million rand. You could build 10 of those. With 700 million rand, you could build 2 hospitals. Or 1 hospital of the highest standard. But then you could build 2 hospitals, or even 3 or 4 hospitals, and clinics as well. You could build clinics with that money. You could build a bridge. You could build so much with that money. Our people are complaining about lack of teachers in schools, lack of proper schools, lack of proper resources in our schools. They're complaining about lack of medications in our clinics. Lack of clinics, lack of hospitals. They're complaining about that. They're complaining about roads not being maintained. They complain about lack of policing. They complain about so many things. They complain about the borders not being maintained. This is what the government knows, but they are spending 700 million rand on a conversation. They call it the national dialogue. We had a national dialogue, Mr. President. Our national dialogue was the election last year. We spoke so many times about the problems. You campaigned. Parties campaigned. We spoke about the problems. We spoke about our problems. We talked about Eskom. We talked about water crisis. We talked about so many things. But yet, here you are, wasting 700 million rand on a conversation. You don't need to have this conversation. The only conversation you need to have is you firing your cabinet and appointing people who will know how to do their job. That is the only conversation that you need to have, not about what is going on what is going on. In the country, we know what is going on. The problem with South Africa is you and your party. That is it. That's period. The problem with this country is you and your party, Mr. President. And and we will fix that problem one day. We will fix that problem. But currently, the problems that you need to fix, Mr. President, are number one, infrastructure. You could have done so much with that money, but yet you chose to waste that money on a conversation, Mr. President. And that actually shows the lack of priority that your party has and the lack of touch that your party has. Your party and you are out of touch with the issues that our people face. You spoke and you said that Johannesburg is a mess. You even lied and said that you didn't know what Johannesburg looks like. Bullshit. And yet again, you spent 700 million rand on a conversation. Why not put that money in Johannesburg and say, we're going to fix Johannesburg? Why not put that money in other cities or other places to actually, fix and show that you actually are good for something? Because right now, you're proving that you're just good for nothing, Mr. President. Mr. President, many people are facing poverty. They are out of work. But you're spending 700 million rand on the conversation. Children in this country go to schools in schools which lack proper infrastructure, proper resources. They don't have books. They don't have roofs in their schools. They don't have ceilings in their schools. They don't have computers in their schools, Mr. President. But you are spending so much money on a conversation. Mr. President, some roads in this country are not just undesirable, but are hazardous to drive on, Mr. President. But you cannot spend money to fill potholes. That is the problem with your party. You lack priority. You lack the political will to actually change this country. Because if Mr. President, if you cared about what South Africa is going through, you would know our problems. You wouldn't need a dialogue to actually tell you what's wrong with this country. You would actually know, and you would have done something about these problems a long time ago. But now you are inviting people who are rich already. What the Siya Kolisi? Fine, he might have come out of poverty, but then I don't think Siya Kolisi is actually the proper person to actually have that conversation, to actually say how to fix South Africa. Maybe I could be wrong, but then I don't think he is the proper person. Neither is Miss South Africa, Mia Leroux. I don't think she is also the proper person to actually have those conversations. Why not invite people why not invite podcasters who actually talk about these problems? Why not invite those people, Mr. President? Mr. President, you are out of touch. That's the truth of the matter. Our economy grows at the rate of less than 1% a year. We are shedding jobs every year in this country, and yet you are spending 700 million rand on a conversation, Mr. President. Mr. President, our economy is not growing at all. We are not creating new jobs. We are not creating jobs at the level that we need to be creating jobs. Mr. President, that's the problem that we have in this country. Poverty, that's the problem that we have in this country. Unemployment, we have an unacceptable unemployment rate in this country. We have an unacceptable youth unemployment rate in this country. We have an unacceptable corruption culture in government. It is unacceptable and needs to be addressed. Those are the problems that we need to look at. We have an unacceptable crime rate. Our crime rate is really high. We have one of the highest crime statistics in the world, but yet you are still asking yourself, what is the problem in South Africa, Mr. President? What are your ministers telling you? What is Stats SA telling you? It looks as if you don't know what is going on, because as a president, you need to know what is going on in your country, but it seems as if you don't know what is going on. And I'm going to tell you what's going on in this country. People are poor. people don't have jobs, Mr. President. They don't have jobs because your government is making them poor. Your government is not allowing people to invest in this country because your government is not investing in infrastructure development. Why is why is our rails in such a dire state? Why? Why is why is Transnet not operating at 100%? Why is Eskom not operating at 100%, Mr. President? Because, Mr. President, if you really care about the issues that we have in this country, those issues would be addressed, Mr. President. So, in order to grow the economy, you need government to really be the enabler for economic growth. Government doesn't have to make jobs. Government doesn't need to do anything funny. What you guys propose, government just needs to do its job. Just do your bloody job. Have Eskom performing at 100%. Yeah, you must make sure that we have proper rail infrastructure so that things can get from Durban to Johannesburg and wherever properly without having high costs, without having whatever things can get efficiently from Cape Town to Joburg to Durban, whatever efficiently and fast. That and at the lowest cost. That is what's needed. You need to make sure that electricity is okay. The supply of power is at 100%. We even have a surplus supply. That is what we need in South Africa. We need high energy supply. We need proper water supply in this country. We need also telecommunication investment. We need to invest in telecommunications. Your government wants Starlink out of this country because they are not wanting to give 30%. Why? Starlink needs to come to South Africa. We need to invest in telecommunications in this country because people in rural communities are disadvantaged. They don't have access to information. They don't have access to this channel. They don't have access to proper information because your government is not investing in infrastructure, in telecommunication infrastructure. And Starlink would make that easier. So you need to fix those problems, Mr. President. You need to fix those problems. Fix the crime issue. Invest in more policing. Fix the policing issue. Fire the corrupt police and also hire train people, train police, and also get help. If you need help from other countries like Australia, ask them to help you. Go send your minister of police, they send your commissioner of police, get ideas on how you can address the crime stats in this country. But also, the crime stats will not decrease if people are unemployed. You need to get people employed so people don't commit crime. Okay? And also, the biggest criminals in this country are in your government. Those are the biggest criminals. Sort those people out first, and then we can sort out the rest. And if we still have criminals in your government, the crime will simply carry on in this country because it wasn't built that your government officials that you have in your government are collaborating with criminal syndicates. Fix that issue. That's an issue that we have. Also, Mr. President, fix those problems and then the economy is going to grow. Because once you fix those issues that I have mentioned, people will want to invest in this country. People with money will want to actually invest in this country because there is lots of money because the banks have money. People with money in this country, the the, the billionaires, the investors, they have trillions of rands, but they're not investing their money in this country because your government is actually preventing them from investing. Who will want to invest in a country where the crime stats are so high? Who will want to invest in a country where they will actually make a loss? Fix those problems, Mr. President. Fix those problems. Be, get rid of minimum wage because, yeah, get rid of minimum wage because what's the point of making our labor market expensive for businesses? Because our labor market essentially is not worth the minimum wage because you have not skilled up the people, you see, properly. Our people don't have skills because of your government. So what's the point of introducing minimum wage? Because our people are not skilled. They don't have the skills needed to actually, you know, make the computers, make the quantum computers, compete with South Korea. That is because of you. Skill the people up. Skill the people up. Then we can talk about the minimum wage. But yeah, we have come to the end of our video. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Because your likes and your subscriptions really go a long way in keeping us in the air and motivating us in actually informing you guys of what is going on in our country. Stay sharp, stay aware. Thank you.